a corset, it has a keyhole neckline, and it also has a draping effect by the bottom of the gown. Okay, so we have, it's all encompassing, and this video is going to just take care of drafting the pattern on the paper and also cutting it out on the fabric. But if you want to see detailed way of how to sew, that will be uploaded in the next video. Okay, so without much rambling, and if you want to see how this gown was made, do keep on watching. Okay, also guys, comment on my hair if you love the way I look, if you love my hair, and yeah, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Let us get right into today's video. Alright guys, so I have my front and back basic bodice pattern up to my gown length. So if you've not seen this video, please click up here to watch this video. It's quite detailed and it's going to help you. It's up to my gown length here, and I will start manipulating the front. Okay, so first things first, we are going to start working on the upper part of this gown. I'm going to just slash my pattern, work on the half length because the corset is up to the half length, and the other part we'll leave it for when we get to that stage. Okay, so sometimes I get some questions like, but if I want to work with my half length, what do I do? All you need to do is get your tape roll and measure from this part up to here. And even here my half length is about 17 inches, so I'll just cut it there. Whatever your measurement is, if your half length is 16, 15, whatever it is, my half length is actually 15 inches, right? But I'll just make it at 16 here. I'll draw a line and cut it there. Just measure your half length on your pattern and cut it out. That's all you do. There's no two ways about it. So that's where I'll cut on. So I'm going to keep this away, but before I keep it, I'm just going to label it. And now I can work on this upper part of my corset. Okay, so the first things first that we need to do, let us label this corset. Let us label what we have here. It's not a corset here, so let's label what we have here. So I'm sure if you've seen my basic bodice pattern, you already have an idea of what this is. And sincerely, I won't lie to you, using that Natalie Grace pattern is the easiest way you can work with all of this. You want to do princess that, you want to do corset, you want to do everything, you build it up from here, and it's easy. It is easy, I must say. So I can vouch for that pattern anytime, any day. It works for me, so I'm sure it's going to work for you as well. Now we need to determine where we want our corset to sit. From this part to here, that's about 9 inches, and I think my corset is fine on the chest line. Sincerely, I don't even want too much boobage to be out in the open. And this is actually it has a keyhole neck attached to it. So I'll leave my corset on the chest line for this. I don't want boobage. If you want boobage, you can do it in between the chest and the bust line. That's at this midpoint here. If you want it to be real, full blown boobage, then go to your bust line for your corset. Depending on what you want. But I'll leave it for the chest line. Please, I'm not about to do all of those things. So that means what I need to do now is to double the measurements I have. So here I have about 0.25 inches for that chest line. I'll come to this part, measure that 0.25 inch here, and come here to measure 0.25 inches, then draw a line to that dark point. I'm retracing that. I'm increasing the dot on my chest line. Okay, so that's like the first step. Increase the dot on that wherever. So if it's not the chest line you're working with, if it's the line in between chest and bust line, you increase the dot on that point. So this is my first step. I've increased the line on that point. Next step is to determine the like when you have your bra, your bra has like a what do I call it? Let me there's a space between the two cups, right? This corset is just like recreating a bra on your dress, okay, an outward bra. So it has a space between the two cups. You can touch your bra, you can feel your bra and see. I'm not gonna bring my bra here to start showing you that. I'm sure you guys have bra, so check it, okay? There's a space in between, so you determine how wide you want your own space to be. Usually the space should not be more than 2 inches, that you want it to be very wide. That's when you open it up. That means half of 2 inches is 1 inch. You shouldn't mark more than 1 inch on this point, okay? But I'll just go for 0.5 inches because I just want a 1 inch wide when I open it on the full form. So I'll do 0.5 here and 0.5. And remember that this is the half scale, so whatever you're doing on the full bodice, you divide it by 2 because it's a half scale. So that's what I'll be having now, right? I hope we're getting the gist. We're getting the gist, right? Great, amazing. The next thing we're going to do is from this chest line, I actually want to drop the point, let it go downwards just a little. So I'm going to drop it like 0.5 inch there, okay? And from that 0.5 inch, I'm going to just join it to this point. You can drop it to like even 1 inch. Let me drop it to like 1 inch. 1 inch is still fine. So from that point, I'm going to curve it to this point here, okay? So I've done that now. Now you can see that this corset has like a sweetheart neckline, okay? So that sweetheart neckline, I'm going to make sure that it's in between my chest and my bust. So look at what you have here. Between my chest and bust, I have 1.5 inches. So I can go 0.75 inch. I can make it this point, just the midpoint, so that at least something is showing, you know, so we don't want it to be stuck all boring and all covered up, okay? So at least some bellies can come out to play. That's fine by me. Okay, so we've done the upper part now. Let's move on to what we're going to, where the cup is going to sit, where it's going to stop and all. So from my body, from what I have now, I'm going to put my tape rule on my shoulder and measure to just under, see I'm wearing a bra, I'm going to measure to just under where this my bra is sitting, okay? So I hope you can see that, where my bra is sitting, okay? And that's just 13.5 inches. Yeah, 13.5 inches. Where the bra is even sitting here is 9 inches for me. Yeah, and some things are even showing. Okay, so we're on point. 13.5 inches for me. I'll measure to just about 13.5 inches there. Okay, I'll put my tape rule from this NP here, put my tape rule there and measure to about 13.5 inches, which is at this point. Then I'm going to rule it with a straight line. That measurement we took, that is where the cup is going to sit. So take this measurement on your client to be very sure, okay? Now the next thing to do is to come to your, this point that you have here, this corner here. We want to make a diagonal because if you look at the cup along this front, it's not a square. Your cup, if you touch your bra, it's not a square, it's a curve there. So we want to curve it, and we'll be coming out to about 1 inch here and curving it from this point, curve it like so to that one, passing through that 1 inch mark. Okay, so place it like this. Let it pass through that 1 inch mark. Yeah, that we have done. Great. Now the next thing to do is, if you look at your cup very well, right, So we're actually using our bra to do this thing. So if you look at your cup very well, you see that this is how the cup is, like this, okay? We have curved it in here. So this part, you see that there's a space before your sighting. So that space is what we want to measure on the pattern. This space that we have here, that the cup is packing the bust, we want to measure that space on the pattern. Okay, so let's go back to the pattern now. So from this side seam, I'm actually going to measure 1.5 inches to mark that point where the cup is beginning from, and I'm going to rule a line across that 1.5 inch. Please let the line be straight. I don't know which kind of woggle line I'm drawing. Okay, now that we have that, we also come and do a diagonal here, and my diagonal here should just be about 1.25 inches. Okay, 1.25 inches, that's my diagonal here. So this is 1.25 diagonal. Remember, here is 1 inch, here is 1.25. So let your curve pass through that point. Yes, now we have this. So we cannot leave this like this. This is not how this cup is. So this one is a bowl, not a cup. We want a cup. So jokes aside, we have to actually join this okay. So now that you're going to be drawing from here, let there be space. Do not choke that part. Space it, and remember that 0.5 inch, space it that way. While here, just curve it nicely. So from here, curve it nicely. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Curve it nicely. Okay, should I use the blue marker so that you can see what the cup is like now? So the cup like this, like this, like this, like this. So the cup please curve this thing well, because it's a cup, not a bowl. We are not doing a bowl, we are doing a cup. So okay, so that is our cup. Now every other thing here, we're still going to use it, yeah? So I'll just go ahead to cut this part out. This is what the cup looks like. Let me keep you one place, okay? Now this part, we don't need these darts anymore, so I'm going to cut away these darts, okay, and the darts here as well. Just cut it on a straight line. So when you sew up this part and the cup fits in, that's your corset for the front, yeah? So I'm going to keep this away, and let's also work on this part of the blouse that has the keyhole. So remember how we do this. Whenever you fold, you put paper and join up your So now that we have this, let us analyze our keyhole neckline. So if we look at this very well, we have our normal basic neckline, which is just about 3.5 inches, 3 to 3.5 inches. I really don't like high necks at all. High necks, not my thing. So I'm going to do 3.5 inches so that I can breathe. You know that my neck is actually short. So if I use 3 inches, it's like I'm choking myself. Then the neck width that I'm measuring, I'll use 4 inches neck width. So 4 inches by 3.5 inches, and I'll connect it together. So I'll just cut out the neckline. Okay, now that the neckline is cut out, the next thing is to measure the keyhole neck design that we have there. So I'm going to just use a 2-inch width. I'll use a 2-inch width for the neckline. And guys, please remember that anything that we have taken out there, when we were doing this, we took out about 1 inch. We took out about 1 inch from this point. If you remember, we took out about 1 inch here. So I'm going to have to put that 1 inch back here so that it doesn't shorten this measurement. I'm going to put 1 inch paper there and retrace it. So from there, I am going to measure 1 inch on this line here, because it's about 1 inch I took away from there. I'll measure 1 inch, which is about here, then connect it from there, connect it back to my armhole. That's what I'll have now, so that it's going to balance well. I'll go back and measure my 3 inch from that point. So my 3 inches about here. So now I can rule my curve from that new 3 inch mark to this 2 inch below here. Okay, so that's what I'll be having. And I'm going to be cutting this out. Yeah, so this is my neck, this is the corset, and this is the cup for the front. So let me just keep this aside and we'll work on the upper part of the back as well. So here is my back. Remember that for the front we use 16 inches, so I'll measure 16 inch out as well. So my 16 inches on that line, I'll just cut it out from that line. And I'll keep the back away. It's going to come in handy. Okay, so the main thing for this back is actually to determine this part. I'm going to place my back to back like so, determine where this part is sitting, and it's sitting here like so. So from there, that's where the back will sit. I'll just draw a straight line. Since we're going to be doing a bustier too at the back, or a corset at the back, not necessarily. And for the corset to actually sit well on the back so that it's not gaping or it's not somehow, just rule your line straight up like so. You can just use like eyeball it to have just the same measurement you have there, take it up here. It's as simple as that. Whatever you have here, whatever waist that measurement you have here, just take it out here so that it helps to tighten the back and it's sitting well and not gaping. So I just made it a straight line, and yeah, we'll cut that out now. So this is where my zip is. This is my side seam. Okay, and we're going to be cutting 2 out of this. Okay, so this is my back, and let's do the keyhole for the back too, except you don't want any drama at the back. Do we want to put a keyhole at the back? Oh no, I shouldn't have even put any keyhole at the back. I don't want no drama at the back, Joe. Let me just explain in case you want to go ahead to put a drama at the back. So this will be your guide. Place this on this like so. Okay, then now you measure this out to get it stops. Then you can make your neck to this low or a little higher from the zip line. You trace it so you get here. So you cut that part off. Then from here to you trace it till you get here. And that is how that part will be. So this will now be, if you cut this and cut it, it will now give you the keyhole at the back as well. But I don't want keyhole at the back. So maybe what I'll do, I'll just put this back like so. I will just do a normal waist that. I'll do just a normal waist that. I'll place this, cut this and do a normal waist that's there. Okay, so let me keep this away. So guys, this is my back. So I actually notched the parts for the dart. What I'll just do is I'll just mark this point and sew my dart up onto that point. All this extra allowance there's no need. And I lowered the back neck. You know why? Because the front neck and the back neck needs to align. So you can see that they are aligning. If it was what it was before, of course the back neck will have been longer and there's no way it will sit properly. So that was why I shortened it. I reduced the back neck so that it can align. Okay, so that's that for the back and the front neck. Let me keep that away. Then for this part, you can see that I put my seam allowance here, half inch, half inch, half inch here, okay, to join both together, half inch here to join the cups to this part. Once I am done sewing it together, once I'm done sewing these two parts together, it's sitting well, then this half inch will sew on to this half inch. So put your half inch, half inch, half inch here to join the top part of the front to the bottom part of the front, and half inch here to sew this part to sit here, or to even sew the lining to turn it, so that you see that everything is sitting properly like it should. Yeah, so that's that for the front and the back upper part. So let's go to the bottom part and we'll wrap this up quickly. So remember that we have used 16 inches for the upper part, and my full gown length is 54 inches. Subtract 54 from 16 inches and that will give me 38 inches. So my bottom part should be about 38 inches. I can make it 40 inches so that I can have allowance to turn and everything. I'll just make it a 40-inch length gown. So let me draw that. So from this top, or I can start from the bottom, 40 inch from the bottom to this part. So that's where I'm going to be placing my patterns on. I hope you can see that. My patterns will be sitting from there down to take up the 40 inch. I'm going to start with my front, and I do not even want a dart. So I'm going to be cutting out my dart for the front away. I do not want a dart on the lower part of the skirt. So I have 1.5 inches here. I'll come here to my waistline and mark that 1.5 inches. So up to the top, then connect it straight down to that hip line to eliminate any dart whatsoever. So now that I've eliminated it, I'll just cut it out. Then yeah, that will settle the front. But if you still want a dart in front, go ahead too. The front already has too much paparazzi for any dart anymore. That's why I'm cutting it off. Okay, I think this space is too much. I'll try and move inwards because that space is a lot. I don't want to waste fabric. Okay, let's see. Still much. All this one's for seam allowance is much. Okay, let's see now. Okay, I think it's fine. It's fine now. So I'll just pin it down. Now that we have this, I'm going to measure what I have down here. This is about 10.5 inches. So at the bottom of my dress, I'll just take about 10 inches or 9 inches. 9.5 I mean, either 9.5 or 10. Let me just do 10. 10 is fine so that I can move. Okay. Then 1 inch sewing allowance there. I hope you can see that. I'll put 1 inch sewing allowance here. I'll put 1 inch here as well. I'll put 1 inch round the pattern. 1 inch here as well. Then connect all those points together. So let's do the back. So that's my 40-inch length. And here's my back pattern. So that's the zipper part and this is the side seam. I'm going to pin it down, but before I pin it down, I want to remove these darts as well. So I'll measure what I have on my dart. I have 0.5 inches. I'll remove 0.5 from the side. Which is here, then connect it to that hip point. So I'm doing this on the pattern because I want to eliminate the dart. I'll just cut it out. Okay, so now the next thing to do, put your paper on that 40-inch mark, pin it down, measure and cut it out. So what we'll do first is to measure what we have down here. From here to here is about 12 inches, yeah? 12 inches. So I'll come to the bottom. I'll come to the bottom and measure, okay? This line can be straight all the way down because that's the zipper line. It can be straight all the way down. But the other one will go in by half, will go in by 1 inch at the bottom. So here, from here to here is 12 inches. So at the bottom, I'll just do 11 inches. From here to here, 11 inches, which is here for me. Remember to put your 1 inch sewing allowance. come here, put your 1 inch sewing allowance. Go to the hip, put your 1 inch sewing allowance. Go to the waist, put your 1 inch sewing allowance. Join all the points together and cut it out. Okay, so the next thing you do is to cut all of this on the lining, and let us get right into draping of this, the drape that will be falling on the front side of the gown. Okay, so I'll cut this on the lining and we'll do the draping now. Alright guys, so this is my skirt pattern for the full front. So you see, this is like the full front of the skirt. I actually scaled it up. I did the full front skirt. What you just need to do is get another pattern paper, fold it into 2, place this and trace it out so that you have a full front skirt. And now if you look at this design, the drape is coming from this part and falling down on this part. So I'm going to make the wider part here and the smaller part here. Okay, so from here I'm going to increase the way I want the drape to be. So if you look at the pattern well, I'm going to increase this. It's just about 3 inches above my knee, so I'll make it like 16 inches instead of the 11 inches I wanted to do. I'll make it 16 inches here, and on the other part I'm going to make it 9 inches just on my hip. On the other part will just be on my hip. So from there I'm going to join those 2 points together. So 9 to 16 inch. Okay, that will be what I'll have there. Remember that this dart is already eliminated, so I will just cut this off out. So now we are forming the drape. Okay, this is what I'll be having. Now on this part is where the pleating is really evident. The pleating here is really much, and here the pleating here is also there but not so evident. So what I'm going to do now is to slash through. I'm not going to make it too tiny, so I'll just make it like 1 inch pleating spacing in between. I'll just mark at every 1 inch, and here I'll mark at every 2 inches. Yeah, because this one is wider, this one is where the pleat will be more. So 1 inch spacing. I'll mark a 1 inch spacing on this part, and on this other part I'll mark a 2 inch spacing. 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, and finally the last 2 inch. So I'm going to join up this point together, the 1 inch to the 2 inch. You can make it more tinier than this if you want to. So remember that whatever you do here, you double it up on this other part. So if you do half inch here, double it up here to be 1 inch. If you do 0.25 inches here, double it up here to be 0.5 inches. That's 1/4 inch here, half inch here. Okay. This is what we're going to be having on this part. Okay. Now I'm going to cut through. I'm going to cut through from this point. I'll cut it through to the other end. So I have slashed and spread, and what we're going to do now is to take our fabric and spread this on the fabric. You can cut through so that you can also pleat on that point. Remember here we had 9 inches, so when you pleat it back, you have to pleat it back to 9 inches here, and here we had 16 inches. Pleat it back to 16 inches then. So I'm going to transfer this. Let me take this to a wider space so that you can see how I will space it out. So guys, this is all my pieces that I'm going to be sewing. My bustier, everything. I've already cut the lining, and for the skirt pieces I cut it just to a little below the knee. Okay, my back, everything has the lining, and for this part here, I used about 2.5 inches because I'm going to be turning it in for the for both sides, so that when it's falling down you can see exactly the same thing on both sides instead of using a lining. But if you want to use a lining, you're going to be using like 1/4. That was what I used. You can make yours fuller and longer than what I have here. So I just slashed and spread, and I know I did not explain, I know I did not talk when I was slashing and spreading. So here I spread it by 0.5 inches, and here was about 3 inches wide on the other part. So I just spread it and cut it out. So that is why I have this whole long strip. Okay guys, so this will mark the end of the illustration, the drafting on the pattern, and the cutting out on the fabric tutorial. Okay, so on to the next one. If you want to see how this dress was sewn from the beginning to the very end, please watch out for the next video that will be uploaded. Watch out for that one. But thank you for staying tuned to this one till the very end. This is like my Christmas clothes, so I'm saying my Christmas clothes already. Alright guys, so till we see in our next tutorial, stay safe, God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that subscribe button, give me a huge thumbs up if you did enjoy and understand this tutorial. Thank you. This was actually a subscriber's request. Thank you for sending in this request, and that is my Christmas clothes because my fabric will not waste. Okay, so thank you so much guys for watching. Till we see the next one, which is the sewing. Join me on there. I know some of you want detailed tutorial on sewing, while some they just want to see the whole process of the drafting and the cutting, and they can handle the sewing. But for those that want a detailed tutorial of how to sew, I will not fast forward as much, so you can join me there so that you can see the full process. Yes, I've spoken too much. Thank you so much guys, and let us see you in the next one. Bye.